He spent 5 years in jail for his hacking crimes, 8 years offline. Finally, last January, reformed hacker Kevin Mitnick was able to access the net again, and he did so for the first time here on this television show. Now he's back almost a year later with a best-selling book under his belt.
That's right.
And a new book on the way. Kevin Mitnick, welcome back to the Screensavers. We haven't seen you in ages.
I know. I mean, the last time I was here, you're right. I was surfing the internet for the first time in 8 years.
You get on the net, you never write, you never call. When you discover this thing, you know, there's this thing called Jenny Cam. Oh, do you? Good. All
yes. Watch all the time. I listen to you all the time.
Things going great?
Yeah. Things are going great.
That's great. So how did Art of Deception still in the bookstores, yeah?
Yeah, just went in paperback. We sold lots of copies.
Okay.
It's a bestseller. Art of Deception is about social engineering, using non-technical ruses and pretexts to get people to reveal information or to do some sort of action that lets the attacker into the network or into the system.
How much of your hacking was social engineering? How much technical?
It was really 50-50, but
really,
yeah, really 50-50. What would happen is I'd use social engineering where it was more expedient, and in other cases, like social engineering, I might use a technical attack to get through a firewall.
Right.
Okay. And let's say the company's huge, like Motorola, but I want to look at a piece of code on that I don't know what server it's on.
Right.
Then you use social engineering to narrow down the prize.
And you have some very interesting techniques.
Some really
in that
good
book.
Stories.
But the new book, what's that about? Tell me, you're working on that now.
Just started working on it in January.
Okay.
The new book is tentatively titled The Art of Intrusion, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for people who have hacked in the past.
Yeah.
And I want to tell their best story, the story of their best hack, the innovative, the sexy, the clever.
We've all hacked a little bit, but you're talking about something really neat.
Something good, but I have a lot of people writing me that are pen testers that do this, legal hacking, but they use a very clever method. I'm not talking about script kiddie type stuff where you download prepackaged exploit code, but something clever. Either the target is sexy, like I recently interviewed Adrian Lamo because he had some very sexy targets.
Yeah, New York Times for one.
Right, New York Times.
Maybe that was the wrong one to hack. We'll talk about that in a second.
But basically, what I want to do is get several different hacking stories that cover different classes of attacks: physical, technical, social engineering, and then I want to tell the story. It has to be sexy, though, and then do an analysis of the vulnerabilities that were exploited and discuss how individuals and businesses could deploy countermeasures or security controls to stop that same attack from working against them.
So like The Art of Deception, we'll learn what the techniques are so that we can defend against it.
Exactly. That's the whole. But and the reason I want the real stories out there is because we'll know what's happening now. What are people doing today to get into different systems that they have no business being in?
How can people get a hold of you if they want to submit their hacks to you?
They could email me.
Okay.
Hacks, H-A-C-K-S, at defensivethinking.com.
Okay. That's your security company that you're running now? Yeah.
Yes, Defensive Thinking. Also on the www.defensivethinking.com on the website, we have a blurb about this. But one thing I did forget to mention is what we're doing is we're going to pay people that, if we use your story in the book, we're going to pay them $200.
Oh, good.
For the best story, we're going to pay them $500.
You got a little competition going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Will they get a Kevin Mitnick hacking award, like a little plaque?
Like a little certificate?
Yes. Kevin Mitnick.
Hacked by Kevin.
Wait, speaking of which, why don't you use some of your own hacks? I mean, you did some pretty ingenious stuff.
Well, the problem is, as part of my plea agreement with the federal government, I'm prohibited from discussing my stories until 2007.
Oh, really? But you will be...
So it's getting close. It's getting close.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'll be able to do the autobiography.
Needless to say, you're not hacking anymore.
Oh, no. Well, I do hack, but legally. I do pen testing.
So that's what they call it when you're hacking to test the security?
Yeah, I have clients contact our company and say, we want to test our security against any failure, and here's our IP address. Do an external internet test. And then we try to hack in.
How are you keeping up with this stuff? Because this is all new, I imagine, since you were in the scene.
I'm reading books. I have a lot of...
you have a lot of young hackers in tow?
Not really. I mean, I keep up. I keep up with technology. I keep up with the different techniques that are used and the different methodologies.
Is it like riding a bike? You know, you kind of, the skills...
Plus, I'm good at I'm good at this stuff. I mean, come on, I've been doing it for, what, 20 years?
You're an old-timer.
Yeah.
You mentioned you mentioned Adrian Lamo, who, of course, is the younger generation. In fact, just plea bargained. He was facing some pretty severe charges, and we were all a little bit worried about him, but I think it's worked out for the best. He's probably going to do some time, maybe home arrest. But what do you think of that case?
Well, I actually went up to meet with Adrian a couple days before he flew to New York to do his plea agreement. And what my concern is is Adrian's very young. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
He really didn't partake in malicious hacking. What he did violated the letter of the law,
right.
but not the spirit
right.
of the law, in my opinion. And I really think the government should have given Adrian a second chance, allowed him to plead guilty to misdemeanors.
Right.
Because once Adrian has a felony on his record, it's going to be there for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned because he's so young, and that felony conviction, because I can attest to it, because I have one, really interferes with the job opportunities.
Right. Right.
You know, so I'm really concerned for that. But
he's an interesting fellow.
Yeah.
He has a very strong ethical principles of his own.
Yes.
He didn't violate his own ethical principles. He may have violated the letter of the law. Is that pretty common among hackers? A strong sense of principles, maybe their own principles, but a strong sense of principles.
Yeah, it's a hacker ethic.
Yeah.
If you don't profit, if you don't cause harm,
right.
Then in the hacker's mind it's okay. But when I was young, I didn't realize when I compromised a system that I always thought, well, the worst thing they'd have to do is change a couple passwords and I'd be out.
Right.
And what's the big deal? It takes 5 or 10 minutes.
What?
So what? Big deal. But on the other side, when you're working on the other side of the fence, you do not realize the time and expense that people go through to do a damage assessment. What happened? How did they get in? Who are they? They don't know.
Right. You showed me before. You got to show me this. Show everybody this. This is a phone hack.
This is a real phone hack.
This is a phone hack. So you have my cell phone number.
Yes, I do.
And now normally I have caller ID on here. If you call me, I'm going to see either blocked ID or I'm going to see your cell phone number. But
maybe
you have a way of changing the number.
Yeah, I can become anybody. I can become your bank, your phone company, the president of the United States.
I want the president to call me. Do you know the president's number?
I know the White House number.
Yeah.
202-456-1414.
So you're going to call me from but you're calling me from your phone.
Yeah, I'm going to call you from my phone
using the White House number.
And I'm going
Is this illegal?
No, as long as you don't use it for fraud.
Is it commonly known how to do this?
No.
I've never heard of this.
No, it's we call it caller ID spoofing.
It's not documented. Now you get a tight shot on my phone because when it calls, it won't be Kevin Mitnick's phone number. Here, let's see, let's light it up. It won't be Kevin Mitnick's phone number. It's going to be the White House calling. Let's see if this works here. Oh my God, that's the White House calling, Mr. Bush.
That's
How do you do that?
What's scary is people trust caller ID.
Don't, obviously.
Don't trust it.
That was pretty easy.
It's easy to spoof.
It's illegal to do if you're doing it for fraudulent purposes.
Right.
But
if you call a bank and pretend to be a customer and have that customer's money wired to.
But talk about social engineering. What a great tool for social engineering.
Oh, it's like the ultimate social engineering tool.
So don't trust caller ID ever again.
Don't trust caller ID.
Can you show me that after the show? I'd like to know.
Maybe we can talk. We can definitely talk about it.
If you've got a story for Kevin, shoot him a line. He's looking for sexy hacks, clever, innovative, new, never-before-seen hacks. Hacks at defensivethinking.com.
And they can win some money.
And yeah, there's some prize money in there, too. Win the website, of course, defensivethinking.com. And the book Art of Deception is in bookstores now. We'll be looking for The Art of Intrusion soon. That sounds great! More on Kevin and how you can contribute to his upcoming book, of course, always on our website at thescreensavers.com. Stay tuned. More screensavers still to come. Don't go away.